You. They were not willing for years to talk trade. Now they're willing to talk trade, and I'm sure we'll make a very good deal. Just concluded, as you know, 2 days ago, signed a deal with South Korea, trade deal, tremendous deal with South Korea. It means a lot of business for our farmers. We're opening up for farmers. We're opening up for a lot of different groups. We're going to be able to sell much more than double the number of automobiles that we were allowed under a deal that was totally defective, that was there before. And so we're very happy with that. That deal is actually concluded. We're very well along the way with Mexico. The relationship is very good. And with Canada, we'll see what happens. They're charging us 300% tariffs on dairy products. We can't have that. We can't have that. With China, as you know, we put out an announcement today. They would like to see me lose an election because they've never been challenged like this. But I want to open up China to our farmers and to our industrialists and our companies. And China is not open, but we're open to them. They charge us 25, 35, 55% for things, and we charge them nothing in terms of coming into the country. Cars, they're at 25%, and we're at 2% and 2.5%, and don't even collect it, but we collect it now. So we're doing very well in our situation with China on trade. I have a great relationship with the president of China, President Xi, but it's got to be a two-way street. It, for 25 years and longer, was not. And trillions of dollars was taken out of the United States for the benefit of China. We just can't have that. We have to make it fair. So we're at $250 billion now at 25% interest, and a lot of money is coming into our coffers. And it's had no impact on our, absolutely, by the way, no impact on our economy, which I said it wouldn't. In fact, steel is like the hottest industry there is. If you look at what happened with steel, we're charging a 25% tariff for the dumpers. They dump massive amounts of steel. They want to put the steel companies out of business. And after they're out of business, they'll come in and charge 5 times more than you ever thought possible. And we need steel and we need aluminum. And those industries are doing well. But steel is incredible. U.S. Steel is opening up a minimum of 8 plants. Nucor is opening up plants, and these are big plants, $750 million and $1 billion plants in some cases. So what's happening with the steel industry is very exciting to me. It's being rebuilt overnight. If you look at the miners and coal, if you look at energy, LNG, Japan just gave us some numbers that are incredible. They're doubling the amount that they're going to be buying for Japan. They're taking the LNG and they're doubling it up. I said, you have to do me a favor. We don't want these big deficits. You're going to have to buy more. They're buying massive amounts of equipment and military equipment, and other countries are doing the same thing because we have trade imbalances with almost everybody. It's a rare exception that we don't. So we are doing great as a country. Unfortunately, they just raised interest rates a little bit because we are doing so well. I'm not happy about that because I know it's going to be a question. I am not happy about that. I'd rather pay down debt or do other things, create more jobs. So I'm worried about the fact that they seem to like raising interest rates. We can do other things with the money. But they raised them. And they're raising them because we're doing so well. You know, we're doing much better than I had projected in terms of when I was campaigning. I said we were going to do this, and we're doing much better than than anybody ever thought possible. And I will say, if others got in, it would have been just the opposite, because they were going to put restrictions on, they were going to put regulations on, they were going to choke the economy as it was already choking, but it would have been worse, and they were going to raise your taxes. That's what they want to do now if they ever got control, which I don't think they'll have control for a long time. So with that being said, we'll take some questions, and yes, please. John, go ahead. We have plenty of time.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Of course, what you're looking forward to tomorrow is the hearings with Judge Kavanaugh before the Judiciary Committee.
Yes.
In 1991, when Joe Biden passed along to the Bush 41 White House the allegations that Anita Hill had raised against Clarence Thomas, the Bush White House asked the FBI to look into it as part of Judge Thomas's background investigation. Not a criminal investigation, but the background investigation. Right. When these allegations were raised, why didn't this White House do the same thing? And with all of the allegations that are coming out now about Judge Kavanaugh, was there an opportunity missed here to have investigators look into this and get some sort of clarity one way or the other?
Well, the FBI told us they've investigated Judge Kavanaugh 6 times, 5 times, many times over the years. They know him very well. But here there was nothing to investigate from at least one standpoint. They didn't know the location. They didn't know the time. They didn't know the year. They didn't know anything. And it's like, where do you go? Also, it's not for the FBI. If you look at what Joe Biden said, he said they don't do this. And he said it very clearly. So I think when you really look at it all, it's not going to change any of the Democrats' minds. They're obstructionists. They're actually con artists, because they know how quality this man is, and they've destroyed a man's reputation, and they want to destroy it even more. And I think people are going to see that in the midterms, what they've done to this family, what they've done to these children, these beautiful children of his, and what they've done to his wife. And they know it's a big, fat con job. And they go into a room, and I guarantee you, they laugh like hell at what they pulled off on you and on the public. They laugh like hell. So it wouldn't have mattered if the FBI came back with the cleanest score, and you understand that very well, John. If they would have come back with the most perfect, we found everything and he's perfectly innocent of everything, it wouldn't have made a difference. You wouldn't have gotten one vote. Now, we will get votes from the Democrats if we win. You'll have 3, 4, or 5 Democrats giving us votes, because they're in states that I won by 30 and 40 points, and they're going to give us votes. But other than that, you probably won't get any, John. Yes, go ahead, please.
Mr. President, there are now 3 women accusing Judge Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct. Are you saying that all 3 of those women are liars? Is there anything that could be said at this hearing tomorrow that could cause you to withdraw the nomination? Anything at all that...
I won't get into that game. I only tell you this. This is one of the highest quality people that I've ever met. And everybody that knows him says the same thing. And these are all false to me. These are false accusations in certain cases, and certain cases, even the media agrees with that. I can only say that what they've done to this man is incredible. You know, it's very interesting. I pick a lot of judges. I have 145 judges I will be picking by the end of a fairly short period of time, because President Obama wasn't big on picking judges. When I got there, I said, how is this possible? I have 145, including Court of Appeals judges. And they just didn't do it. You know why? They got tired. They got complacent. Something happened. I have 145 judges. Everybody wants to be a federal judge, not just a Supreme Court judge. I'm talking about Court of Appeals. I'm talking about district court. I don't think they're going to want to so much. I'll be calling people, and we'll have people calling people that do this. And people are going to be scared, because we could say it about you. 35 years ago, you met, and you might not know what's going on. What is going on? Why did they wait so long? Why did Senator Feinstein wait till the hearings were over and make this case? Why didn't she bring it right at the beginning? When you ask about As an example, the FBI. Why didn't they bring this right at the beginning, during the hearing? You would have had all the time in the world for the FBI. It would have been fine. Now, the FBI, as you know, did investigate this time, as they have 5 or 6 other times. And they did a very thorough investigation. But this is a big con job. And I would love to be in the room with the Democrats, close the door. You guys are all away outside waiting. And Schumer and his buddies are all in there laughing how they fooled you all. Let's just stop them. A big, fat con. Yeah, go ahead.
But, Mr. President, if I could follow up. You have daughters. Can you understand why a victim of sexual assault would not report it at the time? Don't you understand?
By the way, I only say this. 36 years, no charge, no nothing.
But
Everybody,
that happens often. I mean,
people are going to have to make a decision. 36 years, there's no charge. All of a sudden, the hearings are over, and the rumors start coming out. And then you have this other con artist, Avenatti, come out with another beauty today. I only say that you have to look at the facts. The senators are very capable people. They're very good people. I know many of them. They're friends of mine. These are very talented, very good people. And they're going to vote. They're going to have to believe what they believe. When I look at what's happened to the reputation of a great gentleman, a great intellect, a brilliant man, somebody that has a chance to be one of our great Supreme Court justices in history, intellectually, I think it's a shame. Yes, please.
Yes, Mr. President, my name is Tomas Regalado from Radio and TV Martin. Mr.
Okay.
President, yesterday at the speech at the UN, you spoke about how Venezuela's problem was because of Cuba and the Castros, how they went in there and they brought socialism and communism to Venezuela and now to Nicaragua as well. Mr. President, are you going to be more proactive now against Cuba as well?
I've been very proactive against Cuba. I don't like what's happening in Cuba. As you know, President Obama gave them a pass, and I didn't like it. Neither do Cuban people based in Miami and based in our country that came from Cuba and suffered in Cuba. I don't like what he did. I've ended much of it, most of it. I don't like what's happening in Cuba, and I certainly don't like what's happening in Venezuela. Yes,
Mr.
please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, just to finish really fast, you said also that you had a call to action to ask the leaders around the world to also end socialism. Would you like to be recognized as a
Well, I wouldn't say that socialism has been working really well around the world. Okay, you can take a look at Venezuela as your number one, I guess the one that's most obvious, but you take a look around the world, socialism.
All right, folks, welcome. My name is Jen from Golden State Times. I'd like to welcome you to the stream. Right now, we're awaiting the footage from inside the venue where President Trump is going to give his speech. Earlier today, President Trump met with Kanye West, and Kanye West went on an epic rant. Well, actually, it was a speech. Some people call it a rant, but he talked about a whole bunch of stuff. He talked about the 13th Amendment. He talked about getting President Trump a new Air Force One. He talked about him coming out with a new Make America Great hat. But I'm sure it's copyright somewhere. Someone else holds the copyright, but Kanye West wants to have a Make America Great hat made by his company. And a bunch of other issues. If you guys want to check that video out, it's on the channel now. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty entertaining. And Kanye just went on a bunch of different topics. And it's just typical Kanye. You know, he's just that type of guy. So if you want to check that out, that's on the channel. We should have footage of the event in just a few minutes. So make sure you guys stay tuned live here at Golden State Times. Thank you so much for choosing us as a stream of choice. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and you click the notification bell. Also, please share the stream on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, 4chan, 8chan, Reddit, any social media that you might have. If you guys can share this live stream on there, that would be amazing. If you're part of any of those groups on Facebook or on Twitter or on Reddit or on Gab, if you guys can share this live stream on those groups also, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you guys on the chat.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, after I'm finished, if Ouija or Hallie or Vivian or one of our female colleagues could go after me, that would be great. Mr. President, just to follow up on these allegations against Brett Kavanaugh.
What does he mean by that? Explain. What does that mean?
I think it would be great if a female.
What does it mean? No, what does it mean?
It would be great if a female reporter would ask you a question about this issue. So if you don't mind,
I wouldn't mind that at all. No, wouldn't mind it at all.
All right. Well, let me. If I could
wouldn't make
follow
any
up.
difference to me.
All right.
Go ahead.
If I could follow up on John and John's question, why is it, Mr. President, that you always seem to side with the accused and not the accuser? You have three women here who are all making allegations, who are all asking that their stories be heard. And, you know, if you look at the case of Roy Moore, if you look at the case of one of your staffers, you seem to time and again side with the accused and not the accuser. Is that because of the many allegations that you've had made against you over the years?
Well, first of all, I wasn't happy with Roy Moore. Let's get that straight. But Roy Moore was a Republican candidate, and I would have rather had a Republican candidate win. I was very happy with Luther Strange, who was a terrific man from Alabama, but Luther Strange had a lot of things going against him. As far as women, whether it's a man or a woman, these are, you know, it can happen the other way. Allegations can go the other way also. You understand that. And whether it was a man or a woman, 30 years ago, 36 years ago, in fact, they don't even know how many years ago because nobody knows what the time is. That's a long time. And I could pick, as an example, hopefully I won't have to do it as a replacement, because hopefully this is going to go very well on Thursday. It's going to go very well on Monday or Saturday or Sunday or whenever they vote. But I could pick a woman, and she could have charges made from many years ago also.
But don't you
And
understand,
I
sir,
would
that
look
many
at
of
the
these,
character.
many of
No,
these
what I have to
accusers
do.
Are reluctant to come forward. You've raised doubts about these accusers. Many of them.
I don't think people are reluctant to come forward. They're going to have a chance to speak at a. They have a major chance to speak. Excuse me. They have a major chance to speak, and it will be tomorrow, I assume. We've delayed this, meaning the Republican senators, not me. The Republican senators have delayed this for weeks now. They're giving the women a major chance to speak. Now, it's possible I'll hear that and I'll say, hey, I'm changing my mind. That is possible. We want to give them a chance to speak.
You think all three
and they're
should have the
given.
chance? All three should have the chance to
Well,
speak?
whoever is given a chance. We've delayed it a long time, but they're going to have a big shot at speaking and making their case. And you know what? I could be persuaded also. Okay? Yes, please, go ahead. Go ahead. I'd like to go. Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. And
Thank
a couple
you.
of questions for you to follow up on some answers that I didn't quite hear from you, if you would allow me a couple of questions. First of all, do you think these women, all three of them, are liars? Yes or no?
Have they been what?
Are they liars?
I can't tell you. I have to watch tomorrow. I have to read. I just heard about one a little while ago. I can tell you her lawyer is a lowlife, okay? So I can't tell you whether or not they're liars until I hear them. I don't know what happened today because I've been very busy with Japan, with South Korea, with China, and about 7 other countries, as you know. And I chaired the Security Council. So I don't know about today's person that came forward. I do know about the lawyer. And you don't get much worse, bad reputation to take a look at his past. So as far as the other women are concerned, I'm going to see what happens tomorrow. I'm going to be watching. You know, believe it or not, I'm going to see what's said. So it's possible that they will be convincing. Now, with all of that being said, Judge Brett Kavanaugh has been for many years one of the most respected people in Washington. He's been on, I guess you'd call it, the second highest court. And every single person knows him. A lot of people know him well. And those people don't believe what's going on. I can always be convinced. I have to hear it.
It sounds like what you're saying is there is a situation, there is a scenario under which you would withdraw Brett Kavanaugh's nomination. Is that correct?
If I thought he was,
if I
thought he was guilty of something like this, yeah, sure.
And you will wait until tomorrow to make up your mind.
I want to watch. I want to see. I hope I can watch. I'm meeting with a lot of countries tomorrow, but I will certainly in some form be able to watch. And I'll also rely on some very fair and talented Republican senators who, look, if we brought George Washington here and we said we have George Washington, the Democrats would vote against him, just so you understand. And he may have had a bad past, who knows, you know. He may have had some, I think, accusations made. Didn't he have a couple of things in his past? George Washington would be voted against 100% by Schumer and the con artists. I mean, 100%, 100%. So it really doesn't matter from their standpoint. That's why when John asked about the FBI, if the FBI did the most thorough investigation in the history of the FBI and they found him to be 100% perfect, he would lose every single vote. Now, if the Republicans win tomorrow, I think you're going to get some votes from the Democrats. You know why? Because we all know why, because it's called politics. Then you'll probably get some votes. Okay, let's go. One more question? Yes.
Just to follow
she
up
stands
again.
up. I'd like to ask about 3 questions. It's not really fair to everyone else,
This will
but
be
should
my
I let
last
her
one
ask another
to
question?
Follow up on.
Go ahead. See?
To follow up on a question that a colleague asked as well about the benefit of the doubt that you have given to people like Roy Moore, to Roger Ailes, to Bill O'Reilly, to Brett Kavanaugh. They're all men. Why is that?
It's not a benefit of the
Has there
doubt.
ever been an instance when you've given the benefit of the doubt
I've known
to a
them,
woman?
Haley, I've known them for a long time, and a lot of these people, a lot of people. And some I've been disappointed with. I have been disappointed with some. Others, there are charges that are pretty weak, but I've known people for a long time. I never saw them do anything wrong. I never saw them do anything wrong. And there are some that probably I agree. I can tell you there are some that I've been watching for a long time. And in a couple of cases, they weren't Republicans. In a lot of cases, they were not. They were exactly the opposite. But I've been watching them for a long time. And I knew for a long time these were not good people, and they were never brought up. Okay, yes, ma'am, go ahead. Thank you very much, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President. When the allegations first surfaced, you initially said how important it was for Dr. Ford to testify and that you wanted to hear from her.
I do.
But
I wish
you
it could have
also-
gone quicker.
Well, you also said that if what she said were as bad as she claims, surely her or her parents would have reported it. And just today you said you would
Well,
have
there is a
pushed
truth.
the-
I mean, there is
Well,
a chance that her parents could have reported it 36 years ago.
So my question is...
It doesn't mean they had to report it, because in some instances people keep it quiet. It's a very tough situation for a woman. There's no question about it. And in some cases they do report it. Frankly, had they reported it, it would have been pretty amazing, wouldn't it? But I guess they didn't, and that's okay. I'm not saying they had to report it, because it's a very personal thing. It's a very big problem. There's no question about it. Go ahead.
Do you want to hear her story before
I'd like to
you
hear
draw
her
a
story, yeah.
conclusion,
Well, we're
or
giving her
have you
time.
already made up your mind?
They would have given her time last week. This is the United States Senate. This is the most important position that a president can give out. I think we can say by far. I've actually heard it's the most important decision a president can make. I disagree with that. War and peace. I always say war and peace. And after that, Supreme Court justice, right? I look forward to hearing from her. We could have heard from her last week. We could have heard from her for a long time. It'll be interesting to hear what she has to say. Okay?
And let me follow up on Jim's question. Mr. President, let me follow up on Jim's question that I don't think we got an answer to.
Which one? Which question?
How
Who?
have your personal experiences being accused by more than a dozen
I've been accused.
women of
I've been
sexual
accused.
misconduct?
False accusations.
Right.
Excuse me.
How have those...
I've been accused. And I was accused by, I believe it was 4 women. You can check with Sean Hannity. You can check with Fox, because they covered it very strongly.
And
Who
how
got
have
paid?
those
Excuse me.
shaped-
Excuse me. I was accused by 4 or 5 women who got paid a lot of money to make up stories about me. We caught them, and the mainstream media refused to put it on television. They refused to even write about it. There were 4 women, and maybe more. I think the number is 4 or 5. But one had a mortgage paid off her house, $52,000. Another one had other things happen. And the one that reported it, I believe, was offered $750,000 to say bad things about me. And she is the one that reported it. This woman is incredible. She reported it instead of taking the money. So I've had numerous accusations about me.
Right.
They made false statements about me, knowing they were false. I never met them. I never met these people. And what did they do? What did they do? They took money in order to say bad things. I've had stories written in the New York Times front page about 4 women, the whole top center front page of the New York Times. I think it was 4 big pictures. I said, wow, that's a big thing. What's that? These were women that were quoted saying bad things about me. Not the worst things about me, but bad things. And I said, gee, that's too bad. I knew them a long time ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I said, that's too bad. I'm surprised at them. And then all of a sudden I see them on television, nothing to do with me. The next day or day later, they were incensed. They said, Donald Trump is a nice guy. We never said this. The New York Times did false reporting. They're fake news. And you know what? The New York Times would not report that their story was fake. These women said great things. Not only did they not say the bad stuff, they said great things about me. Front page. And those women, they're incredible women. They went on television, and they didn't want to, and I didn't ask them. And they said the New York Times made it up. They gave false quotes. And they went on a lot of shows. They were really incensed, and they couldn't believe it. That's why people know that a lot of the news is fake, and a lot of the people sitting here are fake. But 20% of them are wonderful, okay?
If I could just actually ask
ahead,
my
please.
question, Mr. Trump. You didn't let me ask my question.
You've
My
been asking a
was-
question for 10
No, you
minutes. So
interrupted
please
my
sit down.
question.
Please,
I'm
go ahead.
asking you,
Go ahead.
How did those impact your opinions on the allegations against
Well, it does
Judge
impact my opinion. You know
Kavanaugh?
why? Because I've had a lot of false charges made against me. I'm a very famous person, unfortunately. I've been a famous person for a long time. But I've had a lot of false charges made against me, really false charges. I know friends that have had false charges. People want fame, they want money, they want whatever. So when I see it, I view it differently than somebody sitting home watching television where they say, oh, Judge Kavanaugh, this or that. It's happened to me many times. I've had many false charges. I had a woman sitting in an airplane, and I attacked her while people were coming onto the plane, and I have a #1 bestseller out. I mean, it was a total phony story. There are many of them. So when you say, does it affect me in terms of my thinking with respect to Judge Kavanaugh? Absolutely, because I've had it many times. And if the news would have reported these 4 people, I couldn't believe it. When I heard that they caught these 4 people, I said, wow, that's a big story. And it was for Fox. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier today and just now, you made a significant allegation against the Chinese government. You suggested that the Chinese had meddled in or are meddling
That's right.
in
That's
the
what I hear.
2018 midterm election.
That's what I hear.
What evidence do you have of that, sir? Is there a national
We have
intelligence
evidence.
estimate,
We have
for example, that
evidence.
you're
It'll
prepared
come
to put
out.
forward?
Yeah, I can't tell you now, but it didn't come out of nowhere that I can tell you. Now,
Why make
if
the
you,
charge
they've
now?
actually admitted that they're going after farmers. I mean, I think most of you can cover that. I like that you're shaking your head. Yes, I'm going to ask you the next question because of that, okay? It's probably going to be the killer of all questions. But
Why
let
make
me
the
just
charge
explain.
now if you're not prepared to come forward with the evidence, sir?
China now, we put on $250 billion, and they're paying 25% on that. They're paying billions and billions. This has never happened to China. And I like China, and I like President Xi a lot. I think he's a friend of mine. He may not be a friend of mine anymore, but I think he probably respects. From what I hear, if you look at Mr. Pillsbury, the leading authority on China, he was on a good show. I won't mention the name of the show recently, and he was saying that China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain. He said, Donald Trump, they don't know what to do. Never happened. Well, one thing they are trying to do is they're trying to convince people to go against Donald Trump because a normal, regular political person that has no concept of what the hell he's doing would let China continue to take $500 billion a year out of our country and rebuild their country. I mean, they were building 29 massive bridges like the George Washington Bridge. They're building things that we don't build anymore. But we're starting to build them again. And our economy now is hotter than it's ever been. I don't know if you saw the confidence levels this morning that just came out. Fantastic. And in all fairness to the Fed raising rates. They're raising rates because we've never done like we're doing now. And one of the things that is nice about the rates, the people that were hurt the worst by these zero interest rates, and when President Obama had an economy it was the worst comeback since the Great Depression and all that. You've all heard that. But remember, he was playing with zero interest money. He was playing with funny money. That's easy. I'm playing with fairly expensive money. So when he does that, the people that benefit are people that actually, in their whole life, they would save 10, 15, 20% of their salary, put it in the bank. Those people got killed because they put their money in the bank. They were going to live off the interest, and there was no interest. Now those people are starting to get interest. And those are the people, frankly, that deserve to, they did a great job. The people that did it right, the people that did the best job got hurt the most. So in one sense, I like it, but basically, I'm a low interest rate person, I hate to tell you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. President,
yes.
You have another meeting tomorrow with Rod Rosenstein.
Yes.
Are you planning to fire Rod Rosenstein?
I'm talking to him. We've had a good talk. He said he never said it. He said he doesn't believe it. He said he has a lot of respect for me. And he was very nice, and we'll see. And he's a member of the Trump administration in that sense. It's the Justice Department. I would certainly prefer not doing that. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction. I mean, unless you call obstruction the fact that I fight back, I do fight back. I really fight back. I mean, if you call that obstruction, that's fine. But there's no obstruction. There's no collusion. I'm going to meet with him tomorrow. I may call Rod tonight or tomorrow and ask for a little bit of a delay to the meeting because I don't want to do anything that gets in the way of this very important Supreme Court pick. So I don't want it competing and hurting the decision, one way or the other decision. Again, I want to hear what she has to say, but I don't want to do. So I may delay that. I'm going to see. I don't want to do anything that's going to conflict with that. But my preference would be to keep him and to let him finish up. I call it a witch hunt, and it is a witch hunt. If you look at the FBI statements with Strzok and his lover, Lisa Page, if you look at all of the things that have gone on in the FBI, if you look at McCabe taking $700,000 from a Hillary Clinton PAC, essentially run by Terry McAuliffe, who's her best friend in the world, and he gives them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he's in charge of her campaign, and his wife is getting all of this money to run. She lost. To run. I mean, what's going on? If you look at the horrible statements, like, way to go, Page, great story you put into a newspaper, essentially, now we'll go and investigate that group. It's terrible. We have caught people doing things that are terrible. I would much prefer keeping Rod Rosenstein. Much prefer. Many people say I have the right to absolutely fire him. He said he did not say it. He said he does not believe that. And nobody in this room believes it. By the way, I deal with the people in.
All right, folks, give me a second. Stand by, folks. Stand by. Starting.
Thank you. Please. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. And thank you to Ivanka for the wonderful introduction. She knows me well. And also, very importantly, on the tremendous work you've done on this on behalf of human trafficking victims and survivors all over the world. Very important subject. And incredibly, with the age of the computer, it's gotten worse and worse and worse every year. And we're going to turn that around. This is an urgent humanitarian issue. My administration is committed to leveraging every resource we have to confront this threat, to support the victims and survivors, and to hold traffickers accountable for their heinous crimes. Before going any further today, I'd like to provide an update on Hurricane Michael, which made landfall along Florida's Great Panhandle. Incredible people in the Panhandle, and they went through a lot, followed a really destructive path, then to Georgia and North and South Carolina. Our prayers are with those who lost their lives and with their families, and our hearts are with the thousands who have sustained property damage, in many cases entirely wiped out, the many families who have been displaced, and the businesses that have been affected by this devastating hurricane. All residents should heed all local warnings and instructions. My administration is in constant contact with state and local authorities in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. FEMA and first responders are on the ground, and we have teams currently conducting search and rescue missions. By the way, the Coast Guard has been incredible. They've saved many lives. Working to restore power and delivering needed supplies. We will do everything in our power to help those in need, and we will not rest or waver until the job is done and the recovery is complete. The only thing we can say about Michael with certainty is that it was so fast. It went through like a bullet, but it was a devastating bullet. It was complete. It was winds about as big as we've ever seen in history. We've never had anything like this. So I just want to thank everybody for working so hard, and for FEMA, first responders, and law enforcement. They have been incredible, incredible. Thank you very much. Today we're gathered together for a truly important mission, ending the scourge of human trafficking. Joining us are top officials from across our government who are deeply engaged in this effort. Also, Senator Rob Portman is with us someplace. Rob, thank you very much for coming. I'd like to just introduce a few of the people that have worked so hard. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Secretary Nielsen. Secretary, thank you. Good job. I know you're working very hard on this. Ryan Zinke. Ryan, thank you. Thank you. Alex Acosta. Thank you very much. Rod Rosenstein. Thank you, Rod. Alex Azar. Thank you very much. Great job you're doing. Thank you, Alex. Elaine Chow. Thank you, Elaine. And Betsy DeVos. Thank you. Thank you very much. Along with Ambassadors Nikki Haley. And what a job you've done. Thank you very much, Nikki. And you know how we feel. Bob Lighthizer. Thanks, Bob. Dan Coates. And Director Chris Ray. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chris, very much. Appreciate it very much. You're making a big difference, and you'll make an even bigger difference because we're making it a lot easier for you now. We're going to give you what you need to get this done as much as you can. It's a tough one. Thank you as well to Representative Ann Wagner, who has been a great leader in the fight against human trafficking. Thank you, Ann, very much. Thank you very much. Most importantly, I want to thank the courageous survivors of human trafficking for joining us today. From the beginning of my administration, I promised we would direct the full might and force of the United States government to combat the sinister crime of trafficking, and that is exactly what we are doing. We're working to aggressively target traffickers and to protect the victims of this inhumane abuse. In my first month in office, I signed an executive order directing federal law enforcement to prioritize dismantling the criminal organizations that engage in human trafficking. I later hosted survivors and experts here at the White House on numerous occasions for a conversation about how we can strengthen and improve our nation's anti-trafficking efforts. Since the time and since that moment, very first moment, we've really made tremendous strides. We're challenging foreign regimes that facilitate this horrible evil of sex trafficking and forced labor, and we're working to take down the criminal organizations that illegally traffic drugs and people across our border, exploiting them for their own gain. And we are pursuing criminal charges against those who perpetrate these monstrous acts and deeds. Last year, my administration prosecuted a record number of traffickers. The Department of Health and Human Services National Human Trafficking Hotline received over 8,500 reports of potential trafficking last year. And our brave heroes at ICE have made over 1,600 human trafficking arrests. They do a great job. I have signed several anti-trafficking bills into law, including a landmark law championed by Representative Wagner. And Representative, where are you, please? Fantastic job, Ann. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. To help states and victims fight online sex trafficking. Under this law, victims can now bring civil suits against websites involved in sex trafficking. It's so important. So you can bring civil suits against these websites, and states can bring criminal charges. These provisions complement existing laws that the Department of Justice used to seize and shut down Backpage.com, the Internet's leading forum for traffickers, earlier this year. Good job. Really good job. We also included tough forced labor provisions in the new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, USMCA as it's known. Great agreement. And we are taking the lead to combat this crime internationally, having invested millions in the Global Fund to End Modern Slavery. If you can believe that title, it's to end modern slavery. This is just a brief overview of our government-wide effort to smash these criminal networks and to help victims rebuild their lives. Every cabinet member here today and every member of this presidential task force is fully engaged in the fight. It's very important to every one of them. Our country will not rest until we have put these vile organizations out of business and rescued every last victim. And we will not stop until we have stamped out the menace of human trafficking once and for all. Again, I want to thank everybody for the incredible job you're doing, for your good work, so important. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, folks, thank you very much for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice. I don't know if you guys saw me on the chat. I was talking about how this video got demonetized. This video was getting censored. It was getting shadow banned. A lot of people, if you don't deal with YouTube as a creator, as an uploader, you probably don't know about how YouTube shadow bans on its platform. On Twitter, they shadow ban by not letting you go on the search, that you can't look it up, or they won't allow your followers to see certain things. Here on YouTube, how they do it is by demonetization. If a video is demonetized, it will not show up on search. It will not show up on recommended. It will not show up anywhere. They would only send the notification to 1% of your followers, of your subscribers. And then on the page where it tells you how the stream is doing, if it's a good connection, bad connection, they start sending notifications on there that they basically want this live stream shut down. And then you have to say, okay, and then hope that they don't shut down the stream, because if they shut down the stream, then you get a community guideline strike, and that community guideline strike will take away your live streaming for 3 months. So that's the issue that we were having a few minutes ago, is that YouTube kept on sending notifications, kept on bugging us, demonetized the video, and was trying to censor this stream. I don't know for what reason. I have no idea for what reason. Is it because it's about human trafficking? Is it because it's about the president bringing human trafficking to light and they're trying to combat trafficking? I don't know what the issue was, but YouTube was definitely trying a number on this one. So thank you so much for everyone that shared the live stream on social media. If you guys would like to help us get to the next Trump rally, which is tomorrow, and there's also one on Saturday, you can do so using the link in the description below. All those contributions not only helps us get to the next Trump rally, but it also helps us keep operations live here at Golden State Times because of stuff like this that YouTube wants to do to us. So if you would like to help out Golden State Times, if you guys would like to help out us continue operation and continue doing what we do and bringing you up-to-date news, and on our website where we are posting a whole bunch of stuff too. And our website is goldenstatetimes.com. If for those that don't know, if we have a website, we do. It's www.goldenstatetimes.com. So make sure you guys go and check it out. Thank you very much, everyone, and I'll hope to see you guys here next time. My name is Jen. I'm from Golden State Times, and I'll see you soon. Peace.